Hi there, thanks for stopping by. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make a button from my Zwirnknopf Buttons book, one called Poppy. So let's get started. Today's button is from my Zwirnknopf Buttons book, and I'm going to make the one called Poppy. I'm also going to sort of talk through my own unique way of abbreviating the instructions, because although my books have step-by-steps in photographs, I also use an abbreviated method for writing to save the long form. So, and this is the same with all of my books. It's how I can fit so much more in. And you always have a pattern key in the book that explains what everything is. I'm using size 8 or number 8 pearl cotton or perle cotton, and I'm using red and black. I know the black may be a little bit difficult for you to see, but that's where we get the impact for the sort of traditional remembrance sort of poppy look. Okay. I'll be using a 30mm diameter metal ring, so a flat washer style. In the book it says to use a 27mm. 3mm isn't going to make a difference either way, and you should remember that if you're ever in the book is a guideline for the patterns. It's the same with all of my books, but expand, reduce, play around with it. You'll just need to adjust, if it's a drastic size difference, adjust your thread counts. The first thing that I'm going to do, so that you can see a little bit more clearly, is to mark off divisions. Now, this doesn't require a lot of divisions, so you may not need to, but if you're a little unsure, it can help to just give yourself the divisions that you need. So for this particular button, the instructions say to lay 6 for 12. So basically we want 12 spokes. So I'll explain that to you in case you're not familiar with what I mean by lay 6 for 12. My thread is remaining on the ball, and in the instructions that actually is denoted by an SP in brackets so that you can use it from the spool or ball. You don't have to have a cut length. I hold my thread at the back of the ring. I don't tie it, but if you have difficulty, go right ahead and tie it. So this is lay 6 for 12 and 5 ends. So that basically means I need 6 wraps, so a wrap goes across the face of the button, for 12. So the 12 are the spokes, so from the center out. So obviously one wrap will then be divided into 2 because it's from the center out either side, and that's why you double up the numbers. Okay, and the instructions also say 5 ends. So that basically means I'm going to go up. It's a good idea to go where your lines are at the middle, and then you can take 2 either side. So 1, 2, 1, 2. That's 5 ends. I know that you can't see that because it's black that there are 5 there, but basically ends is the single piece of thread. So then I'm going to rotate and I'm going to repeat. So 1, just get my ball spinning correctly. And so to show you, that last one we did is 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's what we mean for 6, laying 6 for 12, because if you count the outside on the ring, you will see that there are 12 divisions. So now I have to fasten off, and at this stage you mustn't let go. So if you have trouble cutting and threading a needle, go ahead and use a clip of some description. I've got my button station there to hold that in place. And I'm just going to use a tapestry needle. This particular design, I'm not saying to use make cross stitches. All I'm doing is to fasten. So I'm just going to wrap at the back only, and I'm catching that first thread as well. Make sure that's secured under there. But I'm only working the back threads. And then if you need to tweak a little bit, this is now the time to do it. Okay? So now I'm going to use color 2. So the first thing that I need to do with color 2 is I need to attach it to the back of the button. And so I'm going to thread the needle only with a small amount, place it at the back, remove the needle, tie a little knot, and pull that in. And so now I need to lay 2 ends, so remember that's 2 pieces of thread, skipping 3 spokes. And I need to repeat this, so there are stars on the diagram to show you to repeat, much the same way as a crochet pattern will do. So when you're laying at spokes, you lay just on the inside of a spoke, and that counts as the one. So if it says to skip 3, say I'm putting it there, I will skip 1, 2, 3. So there is the 4th. That's what it's resting on. There's nothing on 3, and it's resting on those 2. Okay? So I need to do that twice so that I have 2 ends. And then rotate. There's a little arrow to show you the direction, so I'm going anti-clockwise. And repeat. It's quite easy then, because you know that you're stepping along to the next one. You don't have to worry with this particular design of counting how many you're skipping. Now notice I'm not pulling too tightly. If you pull too tightly on this overwrap, then you run the risk of your spokes collapsing in on each other. So, as with all button making, the secret is taut, not tight. And so I've come full circle in that every single spoke has the second color either side of it. Now I'm still on the second color, but the next set of instructions is to work the blanket stitches. So I need to cut a length from the ball So again, hold in your clip if you wish, or in your hand, and usually about an arm's length will do. You can add thread if you need to, so don't worry about that too much. And I'm just going to thread my needle. I say with great confidence, there we go. And now I'm going to work the blanket stitches. Now, for me, I find if I start the blanket stitch, here's the thing, and I start right here, sometimes I can lose a little bit of tension. So it's not a bad idea to bring it right the way down at the back so that you can start your blanket stitches here. Now, because I've creeped a little bit bigger, and I think that this particular thread might be a bit thin, I might try 4. Just going to have a little look, because this one's slightly out, so. And this is almost the best place if you're only going a little bit small, or as I said, if your thread, because number 8 pearl cotton is still just, it's different within different companies, you know, and actually sometimes in colors. Often you'll find that blues, blues and blacks, darker colors, because they have to be saturated so much for the dye, the threads will often seem fatter than an equivalent 8 in a white, for instance. So I'm going to go ahead and place 4. So I've put 4 blanket stitches, and what you may not have noticed is I'm pulling down so that that ridge formed by the blanket stitch is at the back. That's really important with this type of button. If you put it at the front, well, at the top, you're not going to be able to roll it around because you're using a flat washer the way that you can with a Dorset button. And then we need to go around 9 tightly. So what that basically means is we have 2 here, and we have, so 2 and 4 of the second color, and then we have the 5 underneath of the first color, so the red and the black. So what that means is I'm going to come up to the right hand side of that group, so in the direction I'm working, and then I'm going to go back around them so that those are gripped and in place, and I'm going to pull quite tightly, okay? Then I'm going to sort of hold that at the back just till I get the first blanket stitch of the next section done. So through into that loop, and here's what I mean about the ridge, go up and then take your hand down, and that will go to the back, okay? And then up, down, up, down, up, down, and then up, around, tight, and repeat. And so if that seems a little loose to you, you can hold it and then tighten it when you do that first blanket stitch. Now if you look really closely, you'll see a little bit of the ring underneath, and that's really what's going to happen. Because you're putting angles down and then you're putting straight down, you'll often see a little bit. Everything will sort of meld together when it's done and you won't even notice. So I will carry on with this. And that, my friends, is winning at thread chicken. So I'm just going to fasten off at the back. I'll do a little knot because I do have such a small amount of thread left. And then I'm going to thread that underneath some of this at the back before I trim it, and that saves a little fluffy tail from showing up at the front. And so now I have to go back to color 1, conveniently. I'm not going to need an awful lot. So we're only going to make a few stitches. So I'm going to thread my needle and tie a little knot at the end and trim that tail off. You could just thread through at the back if you prefer threading through. And I'm just going to get this secured without going to the front. Right, and so now you need to make a vertical stitch from the center over the cross of color 2, so over the X. And we have an X here that's formed, but we also have an X here that's formed. So in the book, I show you a close-up to show you exactly which one we want. Okay, and we want the one that is underneath that top cross. So the thing is, with this style of button, this technique of button, you have crosses and angles everywhere. So what we're going to do, it's over this cross, and you can come in from there if you prefer, if it's easier for you to see where you need to be. Just go ahead and bring it in right below there, and a vertical stitch being a straight up and down stitch. And repeat all of the way around. Don't pull it too tightly, because you want the center to try to be still a circle, and if you pull one of the stitches too tightly, you may find that you lose that circular center. And it kind of makes these look like little arrows as well, so you could play around with that with different colors, because you have the straight and then you have a little triangle at the top. So if you get them nicely lined up, and again, I'll just fasten off at the back. And as before, if you do your knot and then thread through a little bit, when you pull up tight, the end sinks in and you don't notice it so much. So, one finished poppy button. Of course, it doesn't have to be a poppy. It can be anything that you want, using any colors that you want. Experiment with adding more stitches or even more colors. It's a good basic Zwirnknopf that isn't too difficult if you are struggling a little bit with Zwirnknopf techniques. This one is a good one to have a go with. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, do please click like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. All of these things really do help the channel. And remember to click that bell icon so that you get notified when I next upload. And until the next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.